Kia ora and welcome back. My name's Zoe Stibi, your vocal coach for today. And fuck it, I might not even be your vocal coach. That's awesome. If you're learning with someone else, singing's amazing. Singing brings me so much joy. And I just hope that you are having fun with your singing. That's the most important thing, in my opinion. To learn stuff and to have fun. So I just started, actually, I got about 16 minutes into recording an episode and I was just like, no, I know this is going to be like unedited and raw, but fuck, it was just turning into a teaching video and I don't want that. That's not the point of this podcast. Now, I know I call it singers having coffee, and I know like last week I'm having a cup of tea because it's like way too late on a Sunday afternoon for me to have coffee. My actual drunken coffee, that's terrible English, sorry, is just there. Way too much coffee. So I was getting into a whole video about like emotions and singing and how we can show them and how we can I don't want to do that as such. I had like got a big thing about practice all planned and I was just recording my cover for this week because my thing about 2024 is really keeping promises to myself, and I said that I'd practice every day and I'd record because I have all this equipment. I have all this stuff that I bought for work and I use it for work and I use it for my teaching and I use it, like I pack it out like for any student that wants to record, and I don't fucking do it for myself. And there's a really fine line as singing teachers where we're singers and we're teachers and where to, never the twain shall meet. I don't even know if that like fits even perfect, like in there, whatever. But it's really hard for us to go, where does the teacher end and the singer begin? Or where does the singer end and the teacher begin? Singing teacher said to me ages ago when I was doing my Estoril master training, she was like, oh, singers can't, like teachers can't be singers as well, because what the fuck is happening with my hair? Jesus. Singers can't be teachers as well because, or vice versa, because with teaching, it's all about giving, and with singing, it's all about taking. And I sat with that for a really long time, and I really believed it for a long time. And I thought to myself, but why? Why can't it be a give and a take? Because it is really like that with our emotions. It is really like a give and a take kind of situation. And I've kind of decided that I don't want it. I think on this whole, like finding my voice thing, trying to tap into my emotions, be a bit more genuine, which this my YouTube channel has really, really helped me to do. To be more genuine, as I don't want it to be about, it's not about like I'm one or the other or black and white. It's a continuum. And I really feel like a lot of it, sometimes I go into more singer mode and I have to, cancel some singing lessons because I'm performing or whatever. And then sometimes I have to, be more of the teacher because, we've got a performance coming up or whatever. And my singing has to take a bit of a backseat. And I think it's about learning to be okay with each of those. And I think a lot of that is, especially with singing, is we can't have it all. So in one moment of your life, things might take over. I don't know if you've got kids or whatever like that, their priorities might take over for a little while, and then the continuum slides or the pendulum slides in this direction, and then it comes back again, and you've got a bit more time for your singing and performing and things like that, and can kind of like live in a bit of harmony like that. And it's about always accepting that that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, is that sometimes it's not. Sometimes you don't, like, as much as I say you have got to make time and blah blah blah, sometimes you genuinely don't have as much time as you want to for some of your goals, and that's okay. It's about sticking to them, even if, it's like 5-10 minutes a day rather than say you've planned in 40 minutes. So I really wanted to talk like what happened when I was recording my, anyway, get back to topic, Zoe. You'll see this in this podcast that I do kind of, I do a bit of swingings and roundabouts with the topic. I was recording and I recorded about 4 or 5 takes, and I actually went with the first one, even though it was like the piano wasn't as great. I then on the second and third take played it way, way better. My voice was a little bit more controlled, but I just wasn't feeling as like connected with it, and wasn't feeling that type of, didn't feel like I was doing what I wanted with the song in terms of that. And so I think a lot of the time when we're thinking about emotions and singing, I think that there's a way in which that we can bring in these emotions, and that every time they might be a little bit different. I think I'm being really specific here about talking about contemporary music. rather than necessarily talking about musical theater and things like that, because we do have like a little bit more of a formulaic way, I suppose you could say, about, you know, I almost sort of see it like a difference between TV acting and theater acting, where like theater's much bigger sometimes, don't shoot me, and TV acting is a lot smaller. And I feel like contemporary music is a little bit more akin to TV acting, where it's a little bit more real, if you like. And musical theater and, you know, theater acting is a little bit more, could be a little bit bigger. Yeah. So really, as I said, I didn't really want to turn this into like a let me know down in the comments though, like, how do you learn to add emotions to your music and your singing? How did you learn to connect? Because I think that's something that's really important about learning. What are we saying? I think, as much as I didn't want this to end up being talking, I just like literally deleted the last one. I want you to think a little bit more about the song choices that you're making. I think that's probably the first port of call. I want you to connect with your songs more. I want it to be saying something that you want to say and saying something that you feel like is worth saying. And obviously, if you've been told to sing something, that's like a completely different situation. But I think for yourself and as an artist, I want you to really tap into, why are you singing the song? And it's actually absolutely fine if you're just like, I really just fucking like the song. Because obviously there is some sort of connection there if you do just really enjoy the song. What do you like about it? And you got to kind of act a little bit like you like it. I think emotional connection in music is really about practicing it so that it's like it's in your fingers, it's in your voice, it's in your body. Like, you know the song, you know the nuts and bolts. And then it's about communicating the lyric in a way that, you know, you don't have to necessarily like put yourself in that situation and imagine that you're, you know, some of these songs are pretty dark. So I don't necessarily say like put yourself in and go, I'm imagining that I'm in this really terrible breakup and all that sort of stuff. But you can kind of like combine it with something that's happened to you that maybe, you know, with a breakup, maybe you've been fired from work, or maybe you've had a situation where you've had a fight with a friend, or, you know, you can put those lyrics into a different context and they'd still have the same meaning behind them. And I think it's got to be, as much as like a singing teacher said to me once, like, you can't bring yourself to cry in a performance because that's self-indulgent. And I thought that for a really, really long time. And it meant that I was so worried about being self-indulgent with my singing that it stopped me indulging in the emotions, or stopped me from going deeper into the emotions of my singing. And I felt like that really stilted me. So it's not about that though. It's not about like making yourself cry. That's not the point. It's not about making yourself feel that hurt or go to a really dark place and end up, you know, I don't know, sitting on the couch for a whole week. It's about being in a space to... I'm really, really trying to like keep my train of thought, but I'm so sorry. My husband just came home. My dogs just started barking. I just sort of like felt like I got a bit out of it. I felt like he was like listening to a little bit of that. It feels weird when other people are listening in. When I feel like I was having like what is, although I'm recording this for YouTube, what is a kind of personal moment. So back on track, Zoe. It's not about being, you know, being self-indulgent in that sense of like, oh, I'm going to feel all the feelings and end up crying in every single moment. That's not it. I feel though it's got to be okay to cry. And it doesn't matter if that happens every time. Yeah, okay, I had a bit of a cry in your song. I don't know. It's not necessarily that I like the crying and I sang a little bit out of tune at the end. I felt more connected with it. I liked the performance more. And I watched an interview with Phineas and Billie Eilish recently. I think Phineas actually just by himself. He was talking about producing. And he was saying, you know, like there's no right or wrong. The right or wrong is like, do you like it? And if you like it, then it's right. And if you don't like it, then it's wrong. And I really liked that because... yeah, I liked it, even though that was a wrong note. It was the right note for me, and I feel like it's okay. I'm not trying to promote myself on this channel. That's not the point. But just if you wanted a context, I'll put the link. That's really hard for me. Really, really, really hard for me to even say that and be okay with like putting myself out there in that situation. I don't usually do that because I don't really like to open myself up to criticism, but it's something I've been working on a lot. That it's not all bad, and even criticism can be helpful. That's that's something we should definitely talk about, like criticism and how it affects us as singers. So yes, I feel like with our emotions, it's also something that we've got to get better at. I feel like we're kind of expected as singers a lot of the time because of, YouTube and stuff like that. You see all these children online, and like, I think we think that we feel like we've got to just be good at it immediately. And it's something that we just have to learn. This YouTube channel has taught me, doing the reactions on YouTube has taught me a lot about how to become more reactive and better at tapping into my emotions and allowing myself to feel my feelings. I think a lot of the time in society, we aren't allowed to show our feelings, and there are a lot of situations where we have to hide those feelings. So we become very good at hiding them. And yeah, warning, when you do start feeling your feelings more and being more okay and more open about your reactions and your feelings. Yeah, I suppose I do cry a lot more, but not necessarily saying about like crying in terms of like I'm sad all the time. I'm also talking about like crying for happiness. And also, getting, but I suppose a bit quicker to anger, actually probably a little bit more patient as well. And so it was sort of like polar opposites, but really tapping into feelings or tapping into allowing those feelings to surface has been a huge change, I think, in my singing, but also in like my life and my honesty with people and opening up with people. Why I started this podcast about opening it up, and that's what I want it to be about. So I suppose my first thing would say, it wouldn't be like go and become a reactioner on YouTube. That's not what I'm saying. You can do it. It was a really great way for me to tap into that. But allow yourself to feel those feelings. Tap into, how do I feel in this situation? Go with those gut instincts. And that's why I always say to my singers, I play them a song and if they're like, no, and I'm like, and then they start to like, backtrack. Their first impression will like, their first thing will be like, no, I don't like that song. And then they'll start backtracking. Oh no, well, okay, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you said no. Your gut reaction is, in my opinion, your best reaction. So I want you to trust your gut. And if you listen to songs and you're like, nah, don't like it, don't fucking sing it. Unless you obviously are in a musical and you have to find a way to love it. That's also part of your job. It's a bit different what I'm talking about in terms of like freely expressing yourself in your contemporary music. And in your song choices in your free time. Or when you're writing your performances, if you're writing a cabaret or something like that, you've got to fucking like the music that you're singing. And that's why I want you to be better at saying, and I love it. Someone was saying, it's kind of doing the rounds on Instagram, quit faster. And I almost feel like it has to be as well, like say no faster, but also say yes faster. If you get the gut reaction of being like, yes, I love this song, or yes, I want to go there and this is what I think the song is about, fuck it if that's not actually the original initial intention of the song. If you feel like the lyric is going there, then like run with it. Don't let anyone tell you that it's the incorrect way. And I always say to a singer, if they're selling it to me, like, I don't give a shit if they're going to sing this song and they are pretending like, if it's about something really sad, but they're going to turn it around, and not make it be a sad song in their own mind and their own performance, go for it. If it works, it works. You've got to take autonomy, you've got to take ownership over your own work as a singer. I wish that someone had taken me through that and had made it okay, then rather than just telling me like feel the feelings, like had taken me through. There are a bunch of exercises. As I say, I didn't want this to be a teaching podcast. This isn't going to be. I will do a separate video about ways. There are exercises that you can do. There is no one way to access your feelings when it comes to singing. So I will go through a specific teaching video to go through how you can use these exercises in order to to produce these feelings in your performances. And I think that they are all great like exercises that I do with my singers. One of my favorites, though, is to write out the lyric as if it's, firstly, you have to like your song. Secondly, I think write out the lyrics so it makes sense to you. I'm not saying change the lyrics, but write out the song so it makes sense in your own language, so you gain better understanding of the lyric. And then say it out loud in rhythm. As I said, that's something I will go into more detail in on the technical video. I will put, when I do end up doing the technical video, I will put the link in this podcast. It will come out after this podcast though. So you can head over to, you can subscribe to the channel, or if you're listening on Spotify or anywhere else, go head over to my YouTube channel, and I do lots of technical work over there. I want you to let me know though, what do you struggle with showing emotion in your singing? Is this something that you do really struggle with? Because I notice in my singers, it's like a lot of the time they feel like it's in there in the performance mode, but it's not there in the studio. And we want it to be there in both situations. And I think it's about practicing bringing up that emotion as well as practicing feeling that emotion more often. But I'd love to see what you think. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you, because emotions and singing, I think, is a massive topic, and I love it. And I really feel like I've definitely come on a journey with my emotions and my singing. I just, as a closing thing, I remember one, which I absolutely hated this way of doing it. I went to the Royal Academy of, what was it, Singing and Dramatic Art. It was RSAMD, but now it's the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. I'm just going to be fucking open about that. I had this really, I will say, awful teacher there, and he would do our performance classes every Friday, and we also had guest tutors as well, but we had this teacher, and he would get us to, like, he would ask us about really personal aspects of our lives when we were singing the songs that we could, you know, kind of bring the song into, and then he would use that and like almost sometimes scream at us, which was very weird. This happens in a lot of acting schools. I fucking hate it. But get us to a point where we would then show like way too much emotion in the song, and then kind of just like drop us and let us go and go, okay, well, work on that by yourselves, and not really like give us the tools. And I remember I'd just broken up with my boyfriend at the time. We'd been in a long distance relationship because I'd moved to Scotland and he lived in New Zealand. And I was singing My Husband Makes Movies, and he was in the movie industry. He was an editor. And this teacher, nearly said his name there, was trying to get me the whole time to like, you know, no, feel the feeling, like tell you about my boyfriend and stuff like that. He was like, you know, obviously this is it really, you know, I've been quite open to everybody about, you know, that's why I wasn't feeling really great at the time. And he got me to a point where I was like singing the song, and yeah, fair enough. It like everyone was like, wow, so moving, amazing. So but like it didn't help me to get to that place then a second time. And that's what it's about. It's about, you know, performing that music. That's why I just found with the Your Song is like, we've got to find a way to sing the song so that we can feel these emotions every single time, or not necessarily feel them. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that it is that they do change, and we do, it's allowing ourselves to get lost in the music a little bit. Maybe that's what it is. It's going to be a journey, I know anyway, about feeling the feelings. But my problem was in this acting school way of, you know, kind of forcing yourself into these really shitty situations where you're imagining these things going on in your, you know, that have gone on in your own life and bringing them into your song, is that you can't feel those like really terrible feelings every single time you practice the song. And that's what it's about. It's about bringing in these emotions every time and taking yourself on that journey. So yeah, it was awful. It was absolutely awful. I used to finish those classes, and obviously if it's a nice feeling, that's something different. And I do ask students to then go to that nice feeling when they are in that moment, and I feel that's really lovely. But not with the negative stuff. I feel like we have to protect ourselves a little bit as well, protect our psyche, because we do know what happens in the acting world when we do kind of go down that rabbit hole a little bit too much, and it's terrible. It's not very nice. So we do need to protect ourselves. I don't know why I told that story, actually. What was the point of that story? The point was that a lot of the time in acting schools, really vulnerable young adults get put in situations with teachers who teach for the wrong reasons, and they love the power that they have over the students, and they get them to do things and enjoy. And I'm not talking about, okay, this isn't in a sexual way, but they get them to do things like, you know, show their emotions like that, or go to these really dark places that they kind of almost sadistically enjoy watching students go through that. And it's a really awful thing about drama school sometimes, not all the time, but that they do really use a lot of emotional manipulation and things like that for very vulnerable young people who just want to become good performers, and they'll do everything and anything to get there. And it's a really sad part, I think, of going to drama school. Anyway, as I say, I'm gonna love you, leave you for the second time. Have an awesome rest today. You're amazing. I just wanted to let you know that if you're struggling with your emotions and singing, like, fucking join the club. It's not easy. It's also something that you can learn to do. It's something that it'll get easier. But we didn't all start off, being Florence Pugh. She also didn't start off being Florence Pugh, I just think she's an amazing actress. Anyway, you can sing, you're amazing. And if you want to learn to sing, anyone can learn to sing. It's just, singing's a lot of subjective stuff. So if you want to do it, then, it's about putting in the effort and you'll get there. Right. Mwah. Have an awesome rest of your day. Ka kite anō.